Open your eyes. You see a room, walls, light, your own hands. It feels simple, as if your eyes are windows, and reality streams straight in. But that is not what happens. By the time you become aware of anything, hundreds of milliseconds have already passed. Signals have traveled from eye to brain, been filtered, aligned, interpreted. Compared to memory, what you experience as now is already old news. Your brain cannot afford to wait patiently for perfect data. The world is too noisy. The signals are too slow. So it cheats. It guesses, moment by moment. Your brain builds an internal model of the world, a running story about what is out there and what will happen next. Sensory signals are not the whole picture. They are small, crackling updates, correcting and nudging, a simulation that is already underway. You do not see photons hitting your retina. You see a constructed scene. You do not hear vibrating air. You hear voices, footsteps, distant surf, patterns recognized and placed inside a mental landscape. Most of the time, the match between reality and model is so good, you never notice the difference. But every optical illusion, every misheard word in a noisy room, every moment when you swear you saw something that was never there, is a glitch in the system, a tiny glimpse behind the curtain. If this is true, then your brain is not a camera. It is a storyteller, a simulator, constantly predicting and quietly editing so that you can move, reach, speak, and survive in a world you never experienced directly. To see how far this goes, we have to look closer at how limited your senses really are and how much inventing your brain has to do to make the world feel solid. Start with sight, the sense we trust most. In the deep of your eye, the retina is wired backwards. Light must pass through layers of cells before it reaches photoreceptors at the back, where the optic nerve exits. There are no receptors at all, a blind spot, yet you never see a hole in your vision. Your brain simply fills it in, borrowing from the surrounding scene, painting over the gap with what it expects to be there. Pause. This is not a special trick. It is how perception works. Almost everywhere, your eyes move 3 or 4 times a second, jerking from point to point. Between those jumps, the image on your retina smears and blurs. But your experience of the world is smooth, stable. The brain edits out the jerks, stitches snapshots into a movie, locks the world in place. As your eyes dart across it, hearing is no more direct. Tiny hair cells in your inner ear respond to waves of pressure and fluid. The signal is patchy, ambiguous, easily masked by noise. Yet you hear a friend's voice in a crowd, a melody buried under traffic, words that are only half spoken. Your brain leans on its expectations, the language you know, the patterns of music you have learned, to reconstruct the missing pieces. Even touch is filtered and inferred. Signals from skin, muscles, joints arrive with delays, traveling different nerve routes at different speeds. Somehow, the brain binds them into the single, immediate sensation of my hand on the table now. From these scraps, photons, pressure waves, chemical traces on the tongue and in the nose, your brain must build a coherent, useful world. It does not passively receive. It actively guesses. To understand how, we need to explore a radical idea, shaping modern neuroscience, that your brain is not just reacting to incoming data, it is constantly predicting what the data should be and experiencing its own best guesses about reality. Think of your brain as a prediction engine. At every moment, it generates a model of what is likely to be out there, the shapes, sounds, and movements you expect. From this model flow predictions about the next instant of sensory input. What should your eyes see if the world is as you assume? What should your ears hear when real signals arrive? They are compared to these internal forecasts. The difference is prediction error. The greater the error, the louder the wake-up call. Something is not as expected. If the error is small, your brain mostly ignores it, letting the model stay in charge. This is why you can read a sentence where letters are jumbled, yet still know what it says. Your brain fills in missing strokes and vowels, correcting the noisy input with a strong expectation of how words usually look. In a noisy cafe, you might hear a word that was never actually spoken because your brain prefers a plausible sentence over acoustic chaos. Some neuroscientists describe perception as a controlled hallucination, a story generated from within, kept tethered to reality by a steady stream of prediction errors from the senses. This framework, predictive processing, helps explain why illusions work, why habits of thought are hard to break, and why we can move so fluidly in a world that is always changing. Your brain bets on what usually happens. Most of the time, it wins. But prediction does more than paint a stable scene. It reaches into the future of your own actions, deciding not just what you will see, but how it will feel to move through that scene. As a body, to understand that, we have to put the body back into the simulation. Perception is not separate from action. When you reach for a cup, your brain does not simply wait to find out what will happen. It predicts before your muscles move. A copy of the motor command, an efference copy, is sent to sensory regions. They use it to forecast what sensations should follow, how your arm will look as it lifts, the feel of ceramic against your fingers. When those predicted sensations arrive, they are discounted, explained away as expected. This is why you cannot tickle yourself. Your brain has already simulated the exact touch your fingers will cause, and so the real sensation carries little surprise. With every movement, your nervous system maintains a model of your body, its size, shape, where each limb should be. This body schema lets you navigate tight spaces, step onto a ladder without looking, or drive a car until it feels like an extension of you. Experiments exploit this model. In the rubber hand illusion, a fake hand is placed in front of you, your real hand hidden. Both are stroked in synchrony. Soon, many people feel as if the rubber hand is theirs. The brain has updated its simulation to incorporate a new limb because the pattern of incoming signals made that the best explanation. Virtual reality pushes this further, immersing the brain in artificial sights and sounds that match its predictions well enough to override signals from the outside world. You lean away from virtual ledges, brace for unreal impacts, feel present in worlds made of code. The lesson is stark. Your sense of having a body in space is itself a construction, a best guess, built from predictions and feedback. If your brain is simulating your body so convincingly, what happens when the simulation of the world, or of you, drifts away from reality? Every night, you fall into a world built entirely from the inside. Dreams. Here, the brain keeps generating predictions of sights, sounds, touches, but the usual anchor of incoming data is almost gone. The result is a free-running simulation, a story your brain tells itself, without much correction. Sometimes it is mundane, sometimes it is impossible, yet while you are inside it, it feels real. Pause. In waking life, certain drugs and illnesses can loosen the grip of reality. In similar ways, psychedelic substances appear to relax high-level predictions, allowing raw sensory data and unusual interpretations to flood perception. Colors intensify, patterns breathe, the sense of a solid self may dissolve. Psychotic disorders can do something darker, strengthening certain beliefs so rigidly that no sensory evidence can dislodge them. A harmless shadow becomes a threat. Random events fit into a secret plot. In both cases, the balance between prediction and error correction has shifted. The simulation has slipped its leash. Even in healthy brains, short-lived glitches occur. You misjudge time in a crisis. As the brain packs more detail into each moment, you swear you heard your name. In a murmur of noise, you see faces in clouds, voices in static, patterns in randomness. Your prediction machinery reaching a little too far. These cracks do not prove the world is illusory. They reveal how much of what we call reality depends on the brain's model running smoothly. To grasp what that means for who we are, we must step back one more time, from sights and sounds, from bodies and dreams, to the uncomfortable idea that self itself may be part of the simulation. Stand still. Feel the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breathing, the quiet sense of being a single you, watching the world. This feels like the foundation on which everything else rests. But according to many neuroscientists, this, too, may be a construction. Your brain tracks heartbeats, breath, blood pressure, gut signals, the hidden interior of your body. It predicts how these should feel, just as it predicts what your eyes should see. From this constant conversation, Between brain and body, a fragile, ongoing story emerges. I am this organism. These sensations belong to me. I am the one who decides, and the one who experiences. A self, running inside a simulation, of a world. Pause. This does not mean nothing is real. It means we never encounter reality naked. We meet it through layers of expectation, through internal models, shaped by evolution, childhood, culture, and individual history. As technology advances, we are learning to edit those layers, to build virtual worlds, to tweak brain activity, to design artificial agents that predict in their own ways. One day, we may choose which simulations to inhabit, which versions of self to maintain. Will that make us more free or more lost? For now, each of us walks through life inside a brain that is forever guessing, updating, and dreaming with eyes open. A simulation so intricate that we call it reality, and a story so convincing that we call it me. The unanswered question is this: if every mind is a private model of the world, how close can any of us ever come to knowing what reality is really like outside the dreams our brains create?